Hey, Facebook and YouTubers. We started right at 9. Let me invite the rest of the panelists. Give me 1 second. What's going on, DC Marvel fan guy? How are you, sir? You did make it. We're just beginning to start. I just sent invites to the rest of the crew so they could start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's going on, Ryan? Ashley, what's up? Hey, Jack, what's
at home.
Hi, Jack.
How are y'all?
Hey.
If I can have my girlfriend in the background, Jack can be in your background, Ashley.
That's right.
There we go.
Awesome.
Brad, I have all the I have all the news topics, so I'll share my screen, and I've got them in order. So
I'll fix your tea.
It's okay. I can do it. I've got it.
That way you can focus on the YouTube.
You're in a new location, Kelly.
Yeah, sort of. Hold on.
Oh, I can't hear your mic though.
Can you hear me now?
Talk a little bit more.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, sorry.
Oh,
I
and
put my
JR,
headset in,
that's what I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
Because JR isn't on Facebook.
You can't forget the old man.
Can't
Yeah.
forget JR. I was like,
Right.
I spent all the Facebook
no.
notes, but let me add JR.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Probably waiting
I'm
over my.
fine. I'm still at my parents' house, so because shutdown forced a certain amount of hours.
JR.
So
Yes, Ryan, we do need JR. JR just got sent an invite to join us.
yay.
Oh.
So, he doesn't have Facebook. How do you send him the link? Do you send it?
I sent it on Google Chat on Gmail.
No, okay.
You can let him know about.
I didn't know if you sent it in PM on the message board or not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess I could do that.
I don't know if I'd want to broadcast that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
If you're okay with it.
yeah. I mean, not a lot of.
Pardon my eating.
Well, you put it that way.
I actually have some homemade macadamia nut cookies that my wife made. Look at these.
Ooh.
Aw.
Look at those things. Ooh, those are delish.
Jealous. That's my
What's-
favorite cookie.
Oh, I know. Aren't they the best?
The best ever.
All right, so let me pull up.
Well, Facebook and YouTube, chat us up.
Yeah,
We're waiting on JR, and we'll start.
share the stream on your Facebook.
Yeah.
If you're using Facebook dark mode, let us know.
Let me pull up Comixology.
All right.
Okay, my books. Oh, I'm like, where's the folder with my books in it?
So, my nephew read these issues with me today.
Aw. Did he,
And
like,
he
did he like
found-
GOG?
He doesn't care about GOG,
Yeah, we have that. in
but he
common.
likes Boomerang. I did.
Yeah.
Look, my nephew also, asked why Scarlet Spider was calling himself Garlic Spider.
Hey, JR. Yes, you're still alive. Good. Yeah. Yes, that's. I love that, Kelly. It's the garlic spider.
Yes, the Garlic Spider.
Douglas.
I love it. Blame Kelly's nephew.
Yeah, and then we ate garlic bread for dinner.
I love it.
Ooh. So it's garlic and flour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you guys like this view or do you like that view better?
Not for anything.
That one zooms in on us a little bit. This one gives us the whole webcam. Oh.
That's true.
I look older in the close-up, so I don't like it.
Ryan says, JR.
That's my name.
And then
Don't
he
wear it
says,
out.
yum. Oh, I thought he was like,
So
JR,
something
yum.
really small, make the logo for the website really big.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Let me figure out how to do that.
Get that brand in.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
here. Nope, that's not it. There's the big overlay.
There we go. Jeez.
I'm just
That's
happy
fine.
that
Anthony,
I'm
what's
not
up,
in the
man?
middle.
Nope, you're the third one that clicked okay. Hey, guys, what's hanging in your personal webs of isolation time? Just watched Annabelle Comes Home. That was pretty good. I liked it. You guys like horror movies?
Oh yes, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a total.
Oh, Javi. Oh, Javi's down the corner. There you are.
Hey,
How long you been
Yay.
down there, Javi?
like 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm
Like-
sorry, bro.
I'm like, maybe I'll just send a message and
Yeah, I
it'll
did.
pop up.
You were. I had to scroll down to see you. I'm sorry, dude.
It's all right,
I'm
man.
sorry.
I'm here.
Cool.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, man.
Where's Mighty Bass?
All right, let me get my logo back. Nope, I don't want that logo. Do I want? I want that logo. There we go. Okay. Let me get the comments back going. Chi-Town, what's up, peeps? Hey, peeps.
Hi.
I'm going to trigger Chi-Town right quick. There we go.
Why does that trigger Chi-Town?
Because these are Edith glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, that triggers me.
There you go, Brad. I'm going to do that the rest of the night then.
Please no. Oh, look,
Oh,
Jared's
no.
just walking
Bye.
out. He's done. Oh, I thought he.
no.
Oh no,
Oh,
he's
no.
getting
See,
props.
you would be on theme though. I saw that Chris Evans wished Robert Downey Jr. a happy birthday.
JR, I thought you were triggered, sir.
No, well, he brought his glasses, so I thought I would bring something even more topical, which is my
Hold on, full screen.
Oh my god.
Oh, your
All right.
goblin.
COVID,
There we go.
no, it's my COVID mask. I'm,
plague mask.
so I
All right.
so I don't
There we
so
go.
I don't catch anything from you losers. You know, I mean, I'm in the high risk group. You know, I'm old.
All you could get is a computer virus from this group.
Ugh.
All right, let me get the.
Oh,
We got a new podcast
all right.
review, so let me pull.
Oh
it up.
wow, Zach's
All
got
right.
mine beat. I guess they do everything bigger in Texas.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Yes, we do.
It's full screen Zach up here. Whoa!
Yeah, so this is an epic mask.
You're cosplaying as Bane. What are you doing?
Now, we're
Oh
born
my
in the darkness.
That's what you need when you sand ABS.
Well, this is since I work. I used to work in industrial inspection, and so we had to have these when we went into like a confined space, just because we were breathing in potential hydrocarbons and things like that that might kill you if you breathe it too long. So anyway, it's all dog chewed on it. So
Oh, well,
That's funny. Okay, I am ready. Are you all? Let me pull up let me pull up the rundown here. Let's see. I just asked if you all are ready, and I'm not.
geez, Douglas, way to be a professional.
Podcast rundown. There we go. Javi, I'm starting with you.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's see. Zach is the crawl space's reckoning, says DC Marvel fan guy. Matt wants to know, JR, do you know of an online game called Star Trek Timelines?
I have heard of it, but not being a gamer, I'm not up on any of it, to be honest.
Okay.
It's not very complicated.
Well, then that's perfect for me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the thing is, once Leonard Nimoy passed away, that was pretty well it.
Really?
Star Trek pretty well. Yep, that was it. Star Trek pretty well passed away for me as well.
Hey, Eric, what's going on?
Eric.
Are you reading William Shatner's Twitter, JR?
Oh, hell.
He's captain's logging it. He goes, captain's log, star date, March, April, whatever. That's kind of funny.
No. I'm not interested in any of his captain's logs, particularly the ones he does on the toilet. So
Ryan said, JR, you look like Silk when you put that mask on.
Wow.
Ryan, I unfriend you.
Oh. Okay, coming down. Everybody ready? Any questions before we start? All right, coming. Oh, you know what? I want to share this in a group that has 6,000 members. Hold on a second.
oh,
Let's see if we can get some people in here.
yes.
I'm a member of Spidey is the Coolest on Facebook. Let me add
we don't qualify as people. You want to get people in here? We don't qualify.
more
We want
people.
more. We want more people. Okay?
We want more.
I don't know why Al Pacino has
Hey,
come
I
out.
tried.
You did.
I tried.
You did. Let's see here. Yep, there we go. We have one watching us on Facebook right now. Wow.
Only one?
Only one.
Well, hi, one person.
It's me.
It's Sarah.
Oh, okay. Hi, Sarah.
How do I? Come on.
How do
Can't
I
live without you.
How do I breathe without?
Who sang that song, JR?
Which
Who sang
version?
what song?
How do I?
I don't know. Depends.
was
Either
me.
Leanne Rhymes or Patricia Yearwood, depending on.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa!
Came out-
Showing your country flag.
Trisha, it's Trisha Yearwood.
It's fine. It's fine. She's a fellow Georgian, and I will allow it. But also, my dad used to work in, like, have a part-time job in radio
Oh,
for
cool.
a country music station, and I distinctly remember where like both record labels for those artists were trying to get the song out before the other one,
Oh, really?
and it was a lot of weird promotional material.
See if that
Isn't that a case where they got? I don't know if I know the story. Did they get Leanne to do it first, and then someone realized that a teenage girl singing a song in a movie about convicts may not be appropriate, so they got Patricia Yearwood to do it?
Maybe I don't quite remember all of that. I just remember it was two separate record labels, and they just constantly were trying to like outdo each other on the same song. And I think ultimately Leanne's won.
Yeah.
So
I don't
yeah.
remember Trisha very much. Okay, I'm almost ready, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I shared it to keep the Spectacular Spider-Man Alive group.
Cool.
Are we
I can
doing
bring
a
it to the
quick
Spidey
break in
Society.
between the two shows?
We are. That's
Okay.
the bladder break.
Good deal.
That's when Brad's bladder says, we've got to go.
Yeah, no doubt.
As your bladder would say at times when you need to go.
Funny.
All right. What else?
There we go.
Oops, I touched my face. That was inappropriate.
Gotta go wash your face.
So JR,
Yeah, I gotta go.
you're in quarantine right now?
Yeah, you
What's
working
that?
from home, JR?
Afraid so. Afraid so. In fact, the Ohio governor was one of the first ones to issue the stay in place order.
Mhm.
So,
I think
because I
Georgia-
used to work in downtown Cleveland, and that was the original hot spot in Ohio. Although Columbus is certainly catching up with it. So,
It's all those college kids, right? Ohio State.
well, and it's the state capital. I mean, it's the largest city in the largest city in the state.
Yeah.
Cleveland has the stupidest people in the state. So, although it's running neck and neck with Cincinnati. So,
My goodness.
Uh,
Okay,
yeah.
share screen.
but not like Missouri. In fact, I saw there were a couple of Missouri stories about a Missouri man licking deodorant in a Walmart.
Ugh.
Ew.
And then, and then there was a
Worse than the
Why?
Florida man.
It's almost as bad
Okay.
as Florida man.
Ew.
Okay, coming down,
Hey,
everybody.
look, Florida's got their entire like state line shut down. It takes 2 hours just to get over the state line right now from Georgia into Florida because they are checking everybody. I don't quite understand how they can, but they want to.
wow,
Anthony
meth-addled carjacker kidnaps man and goat from Missouri porn store.
And goat.
All right.
Douglas is
And
like,
goat.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All
Good.
right.
Guess he wasn't kidding around.
No! Oh, Ashley, either that was the best dad joke or I'm rubbing off on you for some reason. That was awesome.
I'm a great guy.
Okay. Coming down in 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our quarantine ASM review show. Let's see who's quarantining with us from a safe distance. We have Ashley. What's going on, Ashley?
Hey, I'm doing good. Enjoying my quarantine binge watching of every possible thing that I'm streaming. We just watched Onward tonight.
Oh, yeah.
With Tom Holland. Keeping
Tom
it going
Holland.
on. Was it good?
Holland.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's very good. It's
Okay.
a big family movie.
It's Spider-Man and Star-Lord in a road trip, is what it looks
Basically.
like.
And it's amazing how much Tom Holland's character looks like him.
That's
Like
cool.
he's blue and has elf ears, and I'm like, that's Tom Holland.
That's Tom Holland. There you go. We also have Zach. What's going on, Zach?
Spider-Man Crawl Space podcast, practicing social distancing since 2006.
Yeah, baby.
It's good to be here. It's good to not to have the corona.
No doubt.
If I had thought ahead, I would have brought Corona beers to share with everybody. But
There you go.
I forgot today. I didn't get it at the store.
We also have Kelly, aka K-Day.
Hey.
Kelly, you were drinking out of a Mayday flask?
Oh.
Not a flask.
It is a
Who's that?
coffee press that I just stuck a sticker
Adorable.
on. My friend Doodle Cakes
Noodle cakes.
drew this commission for me, and I turned it into a sticker
I
to
love it.
stick on my coffee press and drink my coffee that another friend roasts. So
Very cool.
So, Ron
Cool.
Friends, if you're watching, she would have had your drawing on there.
By the way, JR, we have to warn you, Ron Friends loves these live streams lately. Ron Friends may come in. JR, what's going on?
From
Has
where? The
nothing to do-
bathroom?
No.
Oh no!
Anthony says, nice sticker, Kelly. There you go. JR, what's
Thank
going
you.
on? Quarantine. You're stuck in a house with your wife. Are you okay, sir?
Well, I'm making the best of it. I've got some movies I've been watching. I just watched Vincent Price and The Last Man on Earth, and Charlton Heston and The Omega Man, and then I
Soylent Green.
Pattern, doesn't
on,
JR?
no, Sterling Green's not until we start eating each other. Stephen King's The Stand. So I'm doing good, keeping up. Getting into material that's very inspiring in these trying times.
2 shall enter, 1 shall leave.
No.
My money is not on JR. And we have Javi. What's going on, Javi?
Hey, everyone. Hey.
Are you aren't working from home? You're essential personnel. You work in the hospital, right?
No, I work in dispatch.
Oh, dispatched. So ambulances and stuff.
Yeah, I used to be
Wow.
on an ambulance, but I started social distancing from that 13 years ago when my daughter was born. So
do you
I've
route
been-
the ambulances? Is that what you do?
yeah, I do that. It depends on the day. Some days
Yeah.
I answer 911 calls,
Oh,
and
wow.
other days I'm sending people to go help people.
You're going to get one from JR pretty soon. it sounds like.
I've got one in reserve for JR, ready to go in a moment's notice.
Anthony says Last Man on Earth was great. Wouldn't watch it now, though. So, Javi, you have the first book that we're...
Yes.
Actually, I take that back, Javi. We're going to do one iTunes review.
okay.
There we go.
And we have one from our buddy Al. And the subject title is Made Me a Spider Fan Again. 5 out of 5 stars. Fun podcast. I like all the interaction between the hosts. It's just me. There's panelists
We're
and hosts.
co-hosts.
No, you're a panelist. I'm the host. I don't need help. Made me pick up Spider-Man again after many years. So, Al, thank you very much. That is very
Aw.
nice. I like that. We have this debate. We've had this debate for years, haven't we, Zach?
Yes, we've had that debate for almost 10 years. I'm not kidding. This is a 10-year long.
I am not.
discussion.
I don't need a co-host. I have panelists. It's all good. Okay. We
We're
are
the all-star panel.
okay. Javi, take me through ASM number. What's the legacy on
It's
here?
Legacy 842,
842.
volume 25, number 41.
Exactly.
Whatever we're at right now.
Yeah. Take me
so
through
this-
there, sir.
This is True Companions Part 1. Nick
Mhm.
Spencer's your writer. Otley's back on pencils. Rathburn inks. Fairbairn colorist. Cara Magna letterer. Lots of covers. Gambino was the designer. Wisniewski was the associate editor. And Nick Lowe was the editor. And, of course, Stan and Steve are Spider Daddies.
Oh,
So
you are the
Spidey-
father.
that's right. Spidey's in the sewers. He's fighting a mischief of vermin, which is what a lot of rats are called.
Oh, really? I
Yep,
didn't know that.
yep.
Look at Hobby with the knowledge.
Ooh, a mischief of vermin.
Look at
Yep.
Javi with the Googles. And a couple minutes on his hand to see, what do you call a bunch of rats? It's a mischief. So
You
You know,
he's
nice.
joined in battle.
You're still in Dark Mark's gimmicks. He's the teacher, right? He's supposed to come up with
Well, my mom's a teacher, so
Well,
it's
allegedly
genetic.
Douglas
Oh.
is a teacher, but
Not of English, of broadcasting. And I
Yeah.
know I'm a host and you guys are panelists.
But no, I think you're
Oh my
right. I
goodness.
think allegedly, because he was allegedly a journalist too when he couldn't pronounce anything.
Oh,
I wasn't going to go that far there.
I'm going to
JR.
order a
Oh.
gift to your wife from Amazon. It's a knife set. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
Jesus.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, it's like we're 5 minutes in. We're already.
I feel like the isolation is getting to all of us.
All right.
That's funny.
No, that's playing with knives is just something my wife and none of I have done routinely over the last 30 years. You know?
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, back at the book.
Right.
Back to the mischief.
So Spidey's in the sewers fighting the mischief of vermin, where he is joined in battle by his roommate Boomerang. So Spidey recaps how we got into this situation, and he asks Boomer finally why Kingpin is after him, because it's only been going on since Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
2 Free Comic Book Days ago. I don't remember now. I've lost track of time. But long story short, there is a city records keeper who alerts Fred to the fact that Fisk is once again after the Lifeline tablet. If you remember that story, that was all the way back in issue 68 of volume 1 of Amazing Spider-Man, legacy number 68. The only full copy of the map was preserved by a spell that Doctor Strange gave this records keeper, and the records keeper transfers that knowledge to Boomerang. So Spidey and Boomerang go on a merry hunt for a quest for all the pieces. So that's what leads them to the sewers looking for another piece. And their fight in the sewers comes to an abrupt end when the vermin get spooked and scurry away. And the reason? Gog. At Project Pegasus, the Lethal Legion is attacking. They achieve their goal and leave, while a green-booted onlooker observes. So that's it in a nutshell. There's a lot of recap in this book, not only for what's happened in the past 41 issues, but just in general Spider history. And so I kind of actually put that in a pro, just because Spencer's grasp of it is encyclopedic. And I really appreciate that fact. I also appreciate Otley being back. He did do a couple of issues with the Chance, or right before that with the podcasting. But some of that 2099 stuff, I just wasn't a fan of it. So it's nice to have Otley back. And I appreciated the old plot threads finally getting picked up again with Fred and Boomerang, with Boomerang and Kingpin, and why Kingpin's been so hot to get Boomerang. And I liked seeing what happened with the vermin. Suck it, JR. I like vermin, and I was happy to see what happened after Hunted, what they've been doing.
Hit it, Javi. Hit it.
Yeah, I'm gonna scratch my face again, Javi. There we go. All right.
But overall,
Bobby, this will be the first time I've done this.
JR's like a doorknob. Everybody gets a turn. All right.
oh,
Oh gosh.
but just the issue itself brought a nice feeling of forward momentum. I don't know if you can say the next issue fares as well when it comes to that, but pro-wise, my biggest pro was like it felt like we were going somewhere again
Yeah, no
after
doubt.
being waylaid by the 2099 story. And as fun as like the podcast was and the Chance stuff was, I am itching to get through to Kindred and what's been going on with the Kingpin and all that. So bring it on.
So what's your grade, sir?
I'm going to give it an A-.
Okay, let's go around the horn. Ashley, what's your grade?
This is a B+ for me.
Zach?
This is an A.
Okay. JR?
Let's see.
Kelly?
A-.
Okay.
Grumpy old man, JR.
I'm going to give it a B. Javi, you listed your pros and cons already, didn't you?
Well, I did my pros. I
Okay.
didn't really, but I would figure we let everyone else do that usually, right?
Pros. What did everybody else like?
I agree with Hobby. The use of Spider history, this didn't feel like continuity porn, because it drove the story element. I hate to always go back and compare with Slot, but we've had 10 years of Slot, so it's one of those things where it's just kind of natural to do. With Slot, his use of continuity almost was like showboating, Like, this is what I know. Marla Jameson invented spider slaters. How many times did we hear that? Every time she showed up, right? It's like one of those guys that sits there and spouts off a useless fact all the time until the point where the fact's been driven into the ground. So I pulled out my Essential Spider-Man, volume 4, and there you go. Death Without Warning, episode or issue number 75 of The Amazing Spider-Man, with the old school cover. It's been well worn. You know, Brad, you have all the essentials, don't you?
No, I hated the Essentials. Absolutely hated them. They take
like
50%.
Masterworks better.
I love the Masterworks because they took the color out to lower the price on those things. I hate not having comics with color.
I get it and I understand. But you know, as a broke college kid, this is
I guess that would be good for
that's
a
more
college
now we have all Marvel Unlimited now, obviously.
Exactly.
But,
can you imagine Marvel Unlimited without color?
Oh god.
yeah. It's $3.99.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably pay for that.
Yeah, but I agree with Hobby. I love Otley. Otley is
it's good to have him back.
The problem that and I'll get this in the cons, but I do like that we're finally getting some answers. This is one of those. This and Kindred are the two lingering plot threads that have been existing for the last 50 issues. So we're almost at a year mark or 2-year mark for this run. And so now we're finally starting to get some things wrapped up. This has been kind of one of those things where it's been kind of annoying for the reader to not know what's going on. So to finally get some exposition, this is a necessary type of issue in terms of explaining what's going on. So I appreciated that. I'll move on.
Other pros. Anybody else? Ashley, you liked it a lot.
I think they handled well the kind of getting us back up to speed just without it feeling like a total recap. I mean, we did have, with the framing at the beginning and the end, but it didn't feel like it was wasting our time in any way. It's like we see, we start with them fighting vermin, and then we see, hey, here's everything leading up to why we're doing this right now, and how, kind of these repeated instances, and it's kind of been this fetch quest each time. It just felt like it was
a fetch quest. Well. I like that. I've never heard that phrase. That's nice.
It was managed well. It didn't feel like it was, bookended the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
JR and Brad and Javi and Kelly. Yeah. Y'all all remember the 90s and the 80s, how every issue was someone's first. That was kind of a Tom DeFalco edict.
Yeah.
Chief. This kind of felt like one of those issues in terms
very much so.
Actually, shoot, I can add on to that because, like I said earlier, like when we first started recording, was my nephew reread these with me, and he was able, even though I mostly had to read them to him because he's 5, he was able to pick up quickly, and all he really had was like he knew who Boomerang was, but he didn't know who Gog was. He didn't know all of it, but it was a good thing to start him off on because now he wanted to read more.
No, that's good.
You know what I mean? So like it's a really easy comic for someone new to start on that story, I think, because it explains things well while also giving you your nods that older readers need.
Right.
That's something I think Spencer does really well. Is that every time I read it, I find myself I want to read more.
Exactly.
Even if I've been behind and I'm catching up, I'm like, oh my god, I want to read more. And every time there's like a reference to something older that was before my time, with Slot, it kind of felt like I was getting beat over the head with like, ooh, look, here's something I know. But with Spencer, it's like woven in, and I'm like, it makes me curious and want to know more, and not feel like I'm kind of being beat out by coming in.
It's not it's not beaten over your head. It's more kind of it's an invite to go look at further stuff.
It's almost like Slot had this elitist mentality in terms of how he wrote.
No.
Like I know.
No, not at all. No.
And Spencer kind of comes at it as, "Hey, buddy, why don't you come over here and read and check out what I'm doing?"
I think that's because Spencer actually likes the source material.
Well, and I think I think Slot, just as a writer, from what limited experience I have with him, he's just really clunky when it comes to that kind of stuff, and it's more natural for Spencer to do.
Yeah.
This is something that's more in his wheelhouse that he's stronger at.
Hey, McNulty. Hey, Mike, what's up? He says, with the return of the Tablet of Time, the new theory going around is that Kindred is connected to it, with folks going as far as to say he's somehow Randy Robertson. What do you guys think of that?
I've seen this theory espoused on the message boards, which if you like message boards, go to SpidermanCrawlspace.com.
Oh yeah.
www.board/index.php. Yes, I still remember the actual URL, Douglas, because I used to type it in manually. That's how often I've been to the message board. But I've seen this espoused. I don't get it because, like, why would Randy give a bleep? Like,
what would be his Osborne connection?
Yeah, what would be his Osborne connection? What would be his connection? Like, if he's mad at Peter and Mary Jane, like, it just doesn't hold up for me.
Yeah.
As opposed to like some of the other theories, like it being potentially Harry, post death, post brand new day, in between or whatever, or Gabriel or so, one of the Stacy twins or whatever.
I still think it's a Stacy twin.
I've gotten really attached to the Kindred as a woman theory because I just love the creepy undead ladybug aesthetic.
I mean,
what a quote!
It could be Gwen.
It could be undead too.
Yeah.
I mean,
there you go.
She's worm food, so it's okay. And they Saint Gwen, Gwendolyn the First. May she rest in peace.
Ryan says if it's Randy, that doesn't explain why he be with Janice. What? So everybody, why he be with Janice?
Ryan, you're entirely too white to be.
Why he be with Janice? Why Randy? Because Randy was first introduced in the Tablet of Time story arc, says McNulty.
Okay, but that doesn't. Again, okay, yes, that ties him to this specific part. But why does it?
But why he be with Janice? I mean,
oh boy.
D wants to know: are we ever going to review Full Circle one shot? You know what? I don't think we reviewed that on Spider Satellites. We may have overlooked that.
No.
Hey, Dee dude. Next Spider Satellites. We will review it.
Yeah.
Ryan says Randy does think Peter is a bad roommate and dating the daughter of his father's worst enemy, who has tried to kill him over the years. By the way, McNulty says I still think Kendrick is Squeezy Bake, aka the Gwen Stacy.
Joyce Delaney. She has a name.
Squeezy Bake works for me.
No, it's Joyce Delaney.
Squeezy Bake, love it.
Squeezy Bake's easier to remember.
That would be good synergy, as they say. Gwen is very popular right now.
Yeah.
Ashley, you think it's a woman. So how about Gwen?
I'm just Gwen's a little old.
You're Gwen'd out.
We're burned out.
Actually,
Sorry,
I
Hobby.
It's all right. It's all right, man.
Ashley, are you wearing the crawl space shirt, by the way? Yeah, I did. I just saw the top. Very nice. My gosh!
You're the odd one at the end.
We need to order Kelly a crawl space shirt.
Kelly and Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah wants one too. So.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, JR, I haven't heard a word out of you. You gave it a C? You had to like something. So what?
I like the Kingpin's parking ticket joke.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Of course, I remember. The thing is, Zach was bringing up the everybody's issue is first. That's what he always used to justify the repetitiveness of all the Clone Saga stories. That his name is Kane. His name is Kane. Kane is watching. His name is Kane.
Worked.
No, it didn't.
JR.
How did it
That's how I
work?
started reading.
Well, we got Zach out of that run, JR.
You got me, and you got others besides me, like Donovan and Josh.
Yeah.
May they rest in peace, apparently, according to JR.
Kelly, do you have any other pros, or did I get to you on pros before we go to hobbies cons?
I pretty much agree with Zach on this, and I like it. It's the first part of a series, so it's got to lay down that groundwork.
Right.
So I like the writing, and I like how it's cleverly tying in some older lore. So
okay. Javi, hit me up with your cons. What didn't you like? What was your grade, by the way? I think
it was an A-.
Okay.
The only thing I was looking for would have been just a little bit of Mary Jane, since we're moving so many other things along.
No, because she's
I-
got to have her own series for a while, so
Well,
we're not going to hear from her in the main
Well,
part.
let's see. Spencer already did so well that phone date, and this is
Yeah.
21st century. We're all talking through
Social
air on computers. Like it wouldn't be that hard for them to FaceTime and watch a movie together like they did before. Just nothing
Yeah.
wrong, but just to acknowledge that she's there and what she's doing in her other book and kind of cross promote that as well. It didn't ruin the book for me by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just something I would have liked to have seen, and we didn't get it this time. And it's been a while since they've had a moment together, really, at least in Amazing. So that was it. I don't really have anything else.
Okay.
Right. Dark all of a sudden.
You what?
You went dark all of a sudden.
Oh, I'm messing with my camera. Every time I adjust it, I zoom in.
Oh.
I was adjusting my lighting.
Okay. All right.
Back when we started this damn show, I didn't have to adjust my lighting nor wear pants.
Brad never had to wear pants.
We're supposed to wear pants?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm wearing shorts.
So stand up, puppy, 'cause-
Okay, I want to hear the biggest con. JR, let me hear it. You had the most cons, right? With your C. Con!
I was just thinking Zach was using the justification too of the it's your first issue as the fact that it brought him into the Spider-Man universe, and I'm thinking, that's not really much of a justification. That's a pan, right? I mean, that's another like. But as far as why I didn't like this story, it's like, for one, the tablet of time or whatever. One, didn't we see it? It's you. This is, I think, the third time I can remember it being used, and it's been less effective each time. It was appropriately used the first time it was brought around. Then Nabi and Fabian brought it back in like Lifeline, and didn't he make it an Atlantic artifact? And now it's what? It's something from outer space or something, because Gog's has pieces of it or whatever. It was one of those things that kind of it didn't quite fit into Spider-Man because it had kind of mystical magic origins, but it sort of was okay because it was on the periphery of it, and it was otherwise a mob story with the Silvermane and Kingpin. It's not effective. It's not an effective. It's like it gets more complicated all the time.
Yeah.
It was like a little magic tablet. Silvermane got what he deserved. And that was it. That was a story. It didn't need to be brought back again. It's less effective every time. And the Kingpin trying to heal Vanessa. Jesus Christ! I mean, how many? Either kill. I thought the woman was dead. What happened to her after? It's like she lost her mind when she got kidnapped in Daredevil. Then she got it back again. She was presence of mind enough to kill her son. Back in Daredevil, and now she's lost her mind again or whatever. It's like, what? I can't keep track of what's going on with this.
Is she dead? Is she dead?
She is dead.
Yeah.
When did she die? In Daredevil?
Yeah, she died in Daredevil.
Mhm.
So look,
Kevin Smith killed her?
no, Bendis.
No.
Bendis
this
killed
time.
her. Oh,
Bendis did. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Bendis.
that kind of sucks.
He was only on for like 12 issues, Brad. Come on.
No, Bendis had a longer run than that.
Yeah, he had like 50 issues or something. But again, one of my annoyances is, why is Spider-Man characters getting killed off in Daredevil's book? That's a whole different discussion, I think, that could be had one day.
Question: has Vanessa ever done anything other than just kind of have something terrible happen to her so that Wilson Fisk has something to do other than seize power?
Probably not. I don't know of a.
Basically, she's not. Sorry.
No, I think the most exposure she had was in the Spider-Verse movie.
Oh my god! It's like, okay, so we have the term "fridged" for a woman who gets killed off for the sake of another character.
Yeah.
What do you call it when it's done repeatedly?
Ice pick.
Refrigeration.
Okay, I like it.
Refridged.
So this is just regurgitation of two old storylines, and not only that, but it's one that's been dragging. So I see absolutely no appeal to this particular story.
Anyone else for cons? Oh, you guys have to have cons.
Well, Brad, you gave it a B. What kept it from being an A?
Let's see.
Let me pull out-
What is that story at the back? What does that have to do with
Yeah,
much?
that's it.
Uh,
Look,
We
that-
know what we didn't really talk about that, Javi. The Lethal Legion.
Yeah, I don't know half of them, but
Yeah, what did that have to do
I
with
know
anything?
what the Sin Eater's boots look like, and I know we're building towards
Oh, did that
a
look
big
like Sin Eater
storyline with the
boots?
Sin Eater, and that looked like
Yeah.
his costume. He was the one watching him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're building up to that, and I'm excited. I really liked both the death of Gene DeWolf and the sequel story that Peter David did in Spec with Sounds of Emma and Electro.
So I know we have a dislike of Iron Man because of Iron Man Jr. But why is it that Whirlwind, Gray Gargoyle, and the Living Laser all? Why are they all there? Like, these are all Iron Man villains. I remember watching the Iron Man cartoon in the 1990s. I was like like one of 5 people that did, because it was in syndication. But like,
I remember that.
why?
I guess one thing that I'm taking it down a bit is the lack of focus on Peter and Spider-Man. I think the Fred is overrun a little bit in this book called Amazing Spider-Man. Don't you guys think there's a little bit too much Fred?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, if we were looking at this just as, issue by issue, I do think it's necessary to deviate away from the main character a little bit when you're telling a bigger story and kind
We're
of.
about to do that big time next issue.
Mm-hmm. I
I will defend the next issue with my
Okay.
mindset.
yeah. I agree with that, but I'm also just kind of wondering if there's a particular reason that we're starting the story with such a focus on Boomerang, and wondering how we're going to end the story, because this is kind of a lot for, honestly, just kind of a crappy villain. Like,
Yeah.
so okay. I'm just wondering, because I know Spencer likes Boomerang, but I kind of feel like there has to be some importance. We'll see though.
Is he going to get offed? Is he going to?
Well, here's the thing. You were talking about the need to deviate from the lead character, which I agree. In fact, that's always been one of the Spider-Man series strengths, is because you had interesting characters to kind of take the focus off of him all the time. But the problem is, one, they kept killing off his supporting cast, but two, why Boomerang? Why Boomerang? I mean, like, why not Harry Osborn? And then, of course, we killed, Slott killed Flash Thompson, so we can't use him. It's Spider-Man has supporting characters. Why do we got to bring in this loser?
I think because the writer likes him.
Exactly. Yeah. The writer likes him. I don't give a shit.
And they're bringing in new blood too. It's like we have the supporting cast that we're so familiar with, and I wonder too if they just try and do new things for the sake of being new, because the way that we see stuff in the movie adaptations get so overdone, and how we see them trying to stay away from doing the origin story over and over again. It's just like they're trying to have something new for the sake of having something new, which, like, I agree with in part, maybe not necessarily. I agree with the results, but not necessarily the spirit of it. I don't think you need to have something new for the sake of being new, but it does give you the opportunity to kind of explore new territory with the characters, give someone else a chance to become a fan favorite, and like maybe you have the opportunity to establish someone new into the canon that otherwise wouldn't have before. So
real quick, let's read some comments before we go to the next one. I've got a bunch of them. What were you going to say, Zach?
The point that I was going to bring up was the reason I think we're seeing Fred is that
he's kindred.
No,
oh my god.
2 things. One, I think that he's going to be cannon fodder for Sin Eater. And
Oh, we're going to kill him?
I think
Oh, yeah.
think
Sympathetic, make him likable, relatable.
something's
get the
gonna
audience-
happen. Yeah.
the best part, one of the best parts of what Spencer wrote before he got on Amazing was Superior Foes, and
Mhm.
Fred is that type of character that is, I think, there's a passion and that was ignited by writing these characters and making it so fun to write, and so it's infectious. So I know that there was a segment of fans of Spencer that wanted to see Fred, so it's kind of like trying to draw everything up, and with the old fans coming back and the existing fans plus the Superior fans that may have not been fans of Slott. So I think that's why we saw Fred, but really I think he's going to be cannon fodder by the end.
Yeah.
Deanie Dude says, what writer would you like to see take on Spider-Man? I still like Spencer. Al Ewing, he suggests, but Al Ewing's doing a killer job on Hulk. Great.
Yeah.
Now I'm only doing it on Unlimited, Brad, but like
25. No, not 25. Issue 750 Legacy. Oof, that was such a good issue.
I haven't got. I don't think it's gotten on Unlimited yet, but it's like
Yeah.
it's the only book of the new stuff that when it comes out on Unlimited, I immediately have to read it.
Venkman says, going back to Essential, some books look better in black and white, like Neil Adams' Batman, not Spider-Man.
Nope.
The Ramita stuff looks really good. The Ditko stuff, I don't think looks good at all.
McNulty says, holy brainstorms, Batman. I just figured out how Kindred has powers. He or she has one of the fragments of the tablet of time. What do you think, Cross
Probably.
Pacers?
It would tie this
Probably.
together.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Again,
That is why why he's telling this story now.
Yeah.
I'll say this.
I mean, makes sense.
When we finally get to the resolution of Kindred, I think it's going to be one of those really interesting things to go back and read the run as a whole. Because we're in the middle of this, it's kind of difficult to, and we've had so many side quests with like 2099 and stuff that it's been difficult to focus on the Kindred stuff. So it'll be interesting to read it as a whole.
Yeah.
Zach,
It's nice
you're
that we're being
presuming-
given kind of this offshoot from the Kindred stuff, but to have it ultimately tie in, I think would be satisfying.
You're presuming that there is even going to be an issue 50. or
That is a
resolution.
perfect segue, JR, to you
Or
reviewing the
any-
very last issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Potentially.
Oh God.
Potentially. We're going to end with
We're gonna
Gog.
come back, guys.
Oh,
Come on.
Okay,
No
we're
more
gonna
comics.
No.
Okay, we're not all gonna die, okay? Which is bad. Okay, not everybody can die yet.
JR, take me through the Amazing Gog.
You know, in a time
In a time.
in a time when the comic book industry, before this whole thing happened, was kind of dying on the vine anyway, and it's necessary to and everybody, and remember, every comic is somebody's first, right?
Yeah, including the last.
You know. And when I when I'm thinking of maybe when someone's a fresh and
just take it,
impressionable
JR.
What?
Go ahead, you're going on.
Fresh, impressionable reader, and thinking, so I'm going to spend $4 on a comic book, called The Amazing Spider-Man. I expect to see Spider-Man. Well, guess what, boys and girls? You've been screwed again.
We've been screwed.
I
It's
would
Amazing
spend
Gog.
$4 on GOG.
Bend over and take it again, boys and girls, because
Oh
Marvel
my
has just
God.
I'll take it for GOG.
because Marvel
No, don't
has
take it for Gog, Ash.
and also remember Spider-Man being one of the most down-to-earth superheroes, who fights in the sewers and fights on the streets and fights nasty, crazy scientist, crazed businessman villains. How just alien antagonists just work so well for him.
The Gog.
So let's get into this story here where obviously Spidey and Boomerang are interrupted from their bromance by Gog crashing in, and they look at each other and say, we haven't had something interrupt the storyline since the 2029 thing. Spidey, what do you think? And Spider-Man goes, you're right, Boomerang, we're due for something else to just completely tangent, so why don't we let Gog do it? So anyway, so we go to a planet of one-eyed, two-toed, flying blue people eaters or whatever, and so we've got a couple of eggs, and it's like, and I don't know who these people are or why we should care about them or anything else.
They look like
Okay.
Gonzo from the Muppets.
Anyway, so that's an insult to Gonzo. So here's these two eggs, and they're named something with only one. What is it? TSIL. It's one vowel two times, Tisillin or whatever, some other name that I can't pronounce. And it turns out to be Gog. And then because Spencer, I hope he wasn't paid by the word for this book, because.
Gog write autobiographies.
That's how important GOG's story is.
Or maybe he actually, or maybe like J.J. Abrams, who farmed the Spider-Man story out to his kid.
Don't
Maybe
say that name.
Spencer farmed out this story to his kid, who maybe is only 5 years old, and therefore who doesn't talk in complete sentences, So we get, Gog, Gog love, Gog eat, Gog crap, all kind. We get pages of just Gog speaking in the first person, and doing all kinds of absolutely boring things and nothing of any consequence. Then more crazy aliens attack, and again, because we don't know these people, we don't care that they're being killed or whatever
at all. Preach,
and
preach, brother Jr.
I mean, and of
I
course,
know where
and
this
of course
is going.
Right to
and
the
of course,
God.
this reminds me too of like the Rhino story. When we decided that we, instead of focusing on Spider-Man, we were going to focus on the Rhino, and we were going to spend so much time giving attention to this chick of his, and he knew she was going to get killed off, of course, because then it would give him a big pity story. So you can see a big pity story coming. So anyway, Gog's not worthy flying with the family or whatever. So so they put him in the cargo ship, and then the ship gets knocked off course, and then it's like, and then Spencer goes, golly gee whiz, let me try to tie in this with another crap Spider-Man story from the old days,
The 90s?
where Spider-Man goes to the Savage Land, which is another place he doesn't belong.
Preach.
Spider-Man going to outer space and Spider-Man going to the Savage Land, couple places that Spider-Man doesn't belong.
However, he does belong on Battle World with Secret Wars. Fight me.
Douglas, this is Old Man Scream at Cloud Part 2. So just let the old man scream at the clouds.
Only Part 2? I've been screaming at clouds for
Well, I mean,
years.
the 13th year of you screaming at the clouds.
By the way,
Always
Adam,
screaming at
to answer
clouds.
your question, Stan Lee would not be associated with Gog. It was Roy Thomas, and I hated that issue when I read it years ago. Go.
So anyway, and then of course, we go back to that, stupid Savage Land story.
Yep.
And back then Gog supposedly died in quicksand. Well, apparently Gog didn't die in quicksand.
No.
Some Union construction crew dug him up or
Can't
whatever.
keep a good Gog down.
Yeah. And then of course we go to the blue people who we don't care about.
No,
We find
not at
out
all.
we find out Blue Boy is missing Gog, and then we go back to some other story which I never read apparently, where Gog was part of the Sinister Six.
It was Eric Larson. It was around 25 of adjectiveless Spider-Man.
It was just before.
That was when
Before.
the entire
It was
first
It
show.
was short-lived.
17,
It had like Deathlock and Hulk and
Yeah.
Ghost Rider and everybody and
Mhm.
his brother fighting Gog.
like 17 through 22. I
Michael
think.
Reed says, "Gog forbid."
Now, first of all, here, let me give you a little educational lesson. The name Gog, Gog and Magog. First of all, they're ripoffs from the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel's chapter, believe it was Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39. Because
now we're literally getting preaching on.
Hallelujah, Jr.
So, we're looking at how comic writers are going back and ripping off ancient mythology for their stories. And good fundamentalist Baptist, I was raised on all of this biblical prophecy.
Oh my God!
Gog and Magog. And go to your local preacher to see who is supposed to represent.
Can I get an amen, Brother Ryan?
Anyway. So again, no original ideas here, So
Adam says that Eric
Gog
Larson's
and
10-6
Reed
story was good, dumb Gog fun.
Reed Richards shrinks Gog, and sends him to the planet of the blue people again, and now Blue Boy is on the front line, and he gets. And Gog shows up, and of course Blue Boy gets blown up. See, Blue Boy blown up. Blue Boy gets blown to bits. Blue Boy gets blown to bits. Blue Boy's balls gets blown to bits.
Thank God it's Sunday, says Eric.
So
This escalated quickly.
So Blue Boy,
goddamn right.
So Blue Boy's balls get blown to itty bitty bits, and
No respect for the dead.
then we
No
give,
respect for the dead.
and then we give Gog this pity scene. Oh, Gog's crying, poor Gog. Poor monosyllabic Gog, who only spit, so then this is another thing. The Blue Girl, the Blue Girl here. I don't know if Blue Girl is Blue Mom or what, but anyway, Blue Girl looks over dead Blue Boy's bits, and because he's been blown to bits, and she gives him bits of this tablet, which again, I guess it's I thought this tablet was just something mystical, back from Spider-Man 68, but then I thought it was an Atlantean artifact because the Submariner had it, but somehow it winds up in this blue chick's hands. So for some reason, she thinks Gog is. So for some reason, she thinks that Gog is sentient enough.
Michael, we're going to run what to do with the goddamn ground.
I mean,
Gog is too salty, says Venkman. God damn it!
First of all, Gog has been treated as a pet. So it's like, okay, so I have this dangerous alien artifact here that I want to send off into the unknown. What am I going to do? Honey, bring the cat down here. So I'm gonna give this deadly artifact to a cat, and have the cat protect it. And then all of a sudden, Spencer, whoever Spencer, so Spencer either wakes up from his nap or whatever, and he goes, "Oh crap, we're on page 20. Oh crap, I gotta go back to writing it again." So then he brings Gog, Spider-Man, and Boomerang, and the last panel says to be continued and says, "Shoo, my work here is done."
Gog liked that review.
and boys and girls, you want to know why the comic industry is dead or dying or whatever you want to. This is one of the reasons.
No, you can figure it out. You just had
to pay $4 for this. This is your first issue, boys and girls.
It could be my first and last issue.
JR, do you know what Gog's favorite search engine is?
Goggle.
There you go.
I regret.
Low-hanging fruit.
This is the night. You know what, JR? This is the night that I wish that Berryman was here because he would be cooking thee.
So Ryan says, so closes the book of JR according to Gog.
What do I get this?
Adam says, and that's how we end 58 years of amazing Spider-Man comics with the goddamn issue of this crap.
God dang it, Bobby, where's my propane?
Maybe the philosophy should be this isn't just everybody's first issue. Maybe the philosophy should be this could be people's last
issue. Oh, so, go with God, anyway, my sweet child. All right.
So what do I give it? It didn't personally offend me, so I can't give it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. No, a story personally offending. There's nothing here where I sense it being something stupid or deliberate. I don't know what the motivations were to put.
It was to get $4 out of your Gog wallet.
But I give it a D-.
D-. Not a G for Gog? Come on, JR.
I knew that the D- was coming because, like, as soon as you said it did not personally offend thee, it was not going to be an F. Because I know
if Gog drinks a lot, does he have beer goggles?
What in God's world is going on?
JR, DC Marvel fan guy wants to know if Gog killed all the vermin, would you like him?
Well, you know what? I don't hate Gog as much as I hate vermin. But
you don't like venom either.
Here's the thing. I don't really dislike Gog. I mean, but it's just like but like vermin, for example, one reason I didn't like vermin was here you have that DeMatteis for some reason felt that like I said, he had two strong stories going, one with Spider-Man and Kraven, and then another with Peter and Harry, and he brings vermin in and completely, like I said, tangents the narrative. Here, like I said, I don't dislike Gog, but how is he's not a particularly effective character. He's a one-shot character. His time was done. And it's like, what's the point? I mean, is Spencer just deliberately, did he anticipate the end of the comic book industry thinking that he really has no idea, he has no idea how to end the Kindred story.
The age of Gog.
So he has no idea how to end the Kindred story. So he keeps throwing in all these deviations hoping the comic industry comes to an end, so he doesn't have to come up with something to which he has no idea how to.
Michael wants to know what in Gog's world is going on. Vinkman wants to know, what are some comics that personally offend you, JR, that you gave Fs? What are they?
What
Off
are
the top
they?
of your head.
They are the Mackie Byrne reboot, Spider-Man number 18 or whatever, when the fifth Green Goblin, was turned out to be a disintegrating clone. That was a big FU. That was
construct.
That was Byrne and Mackey's FU to the audience, probably more Byrne so than Mackey. FU to the audience who kept wanting to know who was the fifth Green Goblin. Okay. Another one was and I don't know if I rated an F then because I hadn't quite formed my personally offensive definition yet. But the Betty Brant story where they spent all these years watching movies, and then Aunt May decides to lecture Peter for not being there for her when Uncle Ben died.
Yeah. That was Stegman's first issue, and it was one of Slot's worst.
And then there was the one where Harry Osborn told Vin Gonzalez, "Oh, by the way, I don't think about my son for weeks at a time."
Yeah. McNulty says, "I bet if Gog was Hulk villain, he'd have more love, Gog Nabbit." Yes, he's more of the Hulk villain.
There was one more, and it was the Learning to Crawl miniseries where the counselor stands there and tells Aunt May that Peter is no good.
Yeah.
And I can't, unless you're not familiar with that story, there's no way I can sum it up.
I remember that.
But Peter has been accused of stealing some video equipment or whatever. But anyway, he's been a good kid all this time. And recently, Uncle Ben, his father, essentially was murdered in a home invasion. So the counselor decides to give up on him, says, "No, he's no good. We can't help him." And it's like, what? So anyway, those are the stories that personally offend me.
So we have a D- out of JR, right?
Ooh. Yeah. So
okay, Ashley.
A goddamn A.
Well done.
We have a D- and a goddamn A.
Yes.
Zach.
Let's get the C+.
C+. Okay. Javi.
Gog loves and man kills, and I've been thinking about this all week.
It's called
We'll get
Amazing
into it.
Spider-Man
843.
And now the Amazing Spider Gog.
He's on the cover, Spider-Man, but is he inside the $4 book?
B-.
Oh, God damn it. All right. Kelly.
Well, one, I had to hug
The Tiger King.
this tiger thing that looks. I decided it's my Gog now.
Oh.
We all need our own Gog.
Build a Gog.
Build a Gog from the Legends.
But I would say B, and it's solely from. I'm giving it a B because it's a beautiful story.
Yes,
but
thank you.
it is
Not the way JR told it.
No, but it's not a Spider-Man story.
Thank you.
So it doesn't need to be an A, but it is a wonderful origin story for Gog. If this was Amazing Gog, but it's not.
Brad, what's your grade?
D with JR. I'm with the brother.
All right.
We're on the goddamn same page, JR. $4.
I just love it now how Gog because Brad's trying to get us all to cut back on our cussing, and now
we're not cussing, we're saying God.
now it's like the Battlestar Galactica version of frack, or what Felder card.
What's 2099?
Not frack.
What is 2099's cuss?
Shock.
Yeah.
Shock and Gog, baby. Okay, let's go to comments real quick. I'm with Ashley. You goddamn right, it's an A.
Yes.
So suck it, JR.
So we give Team Gog.
JR.
I was about to say, everybody who says "suck it, JR," here's my list. Okay,
I think they're playing drinking games and they're passed out at this point.
George has been on my list for some time. What was his name? Tyson. He made me do that.
Oh my God, you remember like Tyson from episode 200 or something?
Oh, he made me do that stupid Saginaw, Michigan story. So Tyson's on my list. Terry Kavanaugh for coming up with the Clone Saga. And
What about the guy who
now-
did the
now
spider push-up?
McNulty for telling me to suck it. So,
Oh,
okay, you're on my list, McNulty.
DC
right.
Marvel fan guy wants to know if you preferred the Gibbon issue better, JR, from last year.
Was the you know what? I don't think I read those because it was the host
The
that
Who.
whole Central Park bullcrap, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
where
It was
that
a
was
point.
another diversion from the
Yes.
main story.
What were those
So
issues
I don't
called?
even think I read it.
The Who.
Huh.
The
Uh,
Who.
and
18
Brad,
point hook.
that's my
That's
main
right.
thought is that because this is where having a satellite book,
This book wouldn't sell if it didn't have Amazing
No, no, no.
Spider-Man on the title.
but
No,
what,
yeah.
A legacy
what I'm
number.
saying is this is where in the old days this would have been in a satellite issue,
I guess.
and it wouldn't have been
Mhm.
it would have tied into Amazing Spider-Man, but it wouldn't have been in Amazing Spider-Man. So that's part of my problem with it.
What was your grade
Yeah.
again, Zach?
I gave it a C plus.
Okay, you're with me and JR a little bit.
Because look, I gave it a C plus mainly because of Otley's artwork. I thought he did a great job. I thought the story was effective, but the problem is that going back to what Hobby said with the previous issue, the forward momentum we had was ground to a screeching halt to do the exposition
Yep.
of GOG. And if this had been half the issue, I wouldn't have probably had so much of a problem with it. But the fact that we took 22 pages to do this, if this had been done in 11, I would have. This was like a bad Bendis decompressed issue to explain everything of GOG. I get it because I'm like,
Well, Bendis would have
who
been
the
a
hell is
6-issue
GOG?
arc.
Like at the end of
Yeah.
the last issue, I was like, who the hell's GOG? And then I'm like, oh, he does tie into Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I'm a longtime reader. Like GOG's extremely obscure. It's like this was almost slot level of continuity porn, and that's why it gets a C.
So recently, I reread.
such a heartfelt story.
Recently,
Yeah.
I reread the ASM run on Marvel Unlimited, and you go through a hunt. What issue did God come in? Like 103, 104.
Something like that, yeah.
I can't
I
remember.
read
It was right after
102,
Morbius,
103 issues of Amazing Spider-Man. Beautiful stuff. Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, John Romita. And then Stan steps away. Roy Thomas comes in and takes Gwen, Jameson, and Peter to the Savage Land to take pictures, and Gog shows up, and Gwen's in a bikini for most of it. It was
Yeah.
out of left field, and I was like, whoa, this is such a
Okay.
bad story.
Okay, Roy Thomas was like what, 19?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This seems like a 19-year-old Gog dream.
yeah. No, it does.
but Jerry
It's
Conway
a little more
was
sophisticated than
17. He
that.
wrote better books.
Yeah, Jerry Conway was young and he wrote better books.
I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's true. I'm just like in his defense, he wanted to put Gwen in a bikini.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I
You know,
mean,
look,
hey,
hey.
look.
If I was 19 years old and had a chance to write Spider-Man, I'd put Gwen and Mary Jane in a bikini in a mud wrestling match. But that's neither here nor there.
You have someone behind you, right?
Yeah,
No, it was just like the most off the wall thing.
she doesn't care.
No, I will say that like I said, I was rereading these earlier with my nephew, and he looked at me at the end of this issue, and he was just like, "Okay, cool. Where's the next issue? I don't really care about GOG."
Right.
Exactly.
And I was thinking like he like
Kids
I
don't
was so
always know what's good for them.
Okay, this is like Mark Alford's like favorite thing because he loves bad villains. So like I know on the front page he gave it a very high grade. I think Neil gave it a pretty high grade as well. I'm with Brett. I'm not like as visceral as JR because I'm not as old as JR, so therefore, I can't get as visceral.
Give it 20 years
Your
on
day
this
is
podcast.
coming. All of you people will be old sometime too.
Yes.
So
Yep.
So
I
I get
just-
it. But
I mean,
yeah.
and a couple of you have already got a head start because you don't have any hair. But
I'm on your
My
side,
ex-wife
God
got half
damn
my
it.
hair in the divorce.
By the
I
way,
think it was
ASM
really-
103 and
it-
104. Yep.
It really drew me into the story. Like I got invested in what was being told. It was heart-wrenching. But like when I started getting towards the end and I felt like the book getting lighter in my hands on one side,
Yep.
and it was like,
Yeah.
where's Spider-Man.
Yes.
And if I knew going into it that it wasn't going to be focused on Spidey, I think I would think higher of it.
Yep.
But just like Zach had pointed out, like we were going places,
Yep.
and we came to a screeching halt. And if it was a HU issue, yeah, I'd have no problems giving it an A
Right.
at all.
It's not. It's
by design.
843 of
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man.
By design, those HU issues were supposed to color around the edges.
And take your money from the center of the wallet.
But again, this is where it just again, if this had been cut in half and we focused on progressing the story, I'd have been fine. You could have taken out literally half the pages of this exposition, and I'd have been fine and kept it focused on the Spider-Man stuff. Okay, but again, it suffers from over exposition and middle part syndrome.
Ashley loved it. She gave it an A, didn't you? Why did you like it?
Okay, so
Give me your pros.
I have very specific but very easy to reach standards for the media I consume.
Okay.
Basically, I'm dead inside. So as long as you make me feel something,
That's because you got married.
Oh.
so
Here, Ashley.
I'm reading Spider-Man and I suddenly get like this Homeward Bound as directed by Brad Bird story. And I'm totally swept up in it. I'm getting so, and plus like those simple characters. So like, this happens with any kind of animal character, especially robots. My heart goes out to them. They're pure, they're wholesome, they're too good for this world.
How many times have you read Isaac Asimov's robot stories?
I should go read them. Mostly I just watch a lot of Gundam and a lot of real robot shows, and I get very emotional.
So don't
and then
watch
I watch Iron
Bicentennial.
Giant and I cry. But
Yeah, Ashley, don't watch Bicentennial Man, because not only does it have all those elements, but it also has Robin Williams.
Oh,
I
yeah,
watched it
no.
in theaters when I was
Ashley,
little.
my biggest complaint, and it may not be yours, but this is called Amazing Spider-Man, and he's not in it much.
This is
So
just
it's a
one
slot
issue
book.
though out of 800. I'm always okay. Like as long as 90% of the focus is on Spider-Man, I'm okay with deviations.
He isn't in 90% of this, maybe 10.
I'm not saying 90% of every single issue. I'm saying 90% of the 800 collective issues that we have.
Oh, I do issue at a time. But
I just see, to me, comics are a long form medium, so I'm not too torn up if one issue maybe kind of deviates, like isn't pushing the story forward, or it's not focused entirely on the titular character. Because to me, it's like, okay, so maybe this is just a slight deviation. It could be a writing exercise. It can be just a one-off. It can just be for funsies. But
this was
it'll
funsies.
pick up and go on. That's the beauty of comics. That's the strength of the medium, is that it will keep going. For me, where was I going with this? I had something. Hang on, it'll come back to me. Go on.
It's okay. You could go to the internet and goggle it.
I don't see Jack. Usually Jack is in the background being her conscience, just like Sarah is being Zach's conscience.
No, he's watching me in the bedroom. Oh God, my
Well,
foot.
I think Ashley brings up a good point though. In a normal world, we'd be getting an issue in about a week, and
Yeah.
it's a lot different. It's like you read a bad Superman comic and you're like, well, that sucked, but next week I got action and hopefully that'll be good. Versus, okay, I had Batman v Superman, and
That's all you got.
and like, when's my next live action fix going to be? Like, you don't know, so that makes more of an impression about the character and what the future holds, versus you move on to that next book and things are right again.
Michael J.
I remember what I was going to say.
Okay, go
Cool.
ahead.
And it actually spins off from what Javi said. That stories like these little one-offs, leave more of an impression on me. Like what I want, the entire line to be made up of stories like this. No, That's what makes him stand out so much. That now I'm never gonna forget who Gog is. It's left a really big impression on me.
I won't
I
forget
think
that
that's a
too
good
either.
reflection of his
Brad's
storytelling.
grumpy. JR's grumpy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of grumpy.
McNulty has a question. Do you think since we're gonna have to wait a long time in between issues, is Spencer gonna go back and rewrite some upcoming stories? I don't think he will because
I
he's already
Probably
sent them
not
to the
gonna
artist,
happen.
right?
Yeah.
That's kind of a news story, but that's not really what's going on with Marvel right now.
No. Yeah.
Marvel-
Well,
I would just say, how long until we have Corona commentary and comment?
right. I'm waiting for like when all this is over and we have some kind of rom-com about
Oh my God, right?
being quarantined, because it's gonna happen.
It'll be like the You've Got Mail of our era.
Yeah.
You got Corona.
So you now have the coronas. and so
Kelly,
I'm
what was
sorry.
your grade on it again?
I gave it. I'm wavering between a solid B and a B minus, but
Okay.
my reasonings for it are because like I fully agree it's not a Spider-Man story, but also it's like I was expecting like next week to be pulling another issue, and to me I like the fact that here's this forgotten villain, here's a good story, and to me it's written very well, it's it's beautiful artwork. The story definitely has a beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
So looking at it as like English teacher stuff, which I've that's how I generally read this. I read this from a perspective of, does it take me somewhere? Does it have some kind of resolution? Does it, is it what's quote unquote a decent story? And some comics, especially lately, haven't been doing that. Like the last issue of Amazing Mary Jane, for example, does not do that. So like in my sense, like I don't want to, like I definitely feel like it needs a decent grade, but it's also not it could be an A for me if there was more to do with the actual title. To me, this is almost like an Untold Tales, or like just kind of some kind of B story that would have been great in something else, but not Amazing Spider-Man. And we don't know why it's being put in Amazing Spider-Man, and that's kind of the problem, because that's how we're being left for the next few months, and that's it sucks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is where I feel like having a Peter Parker Spider-Man to fill in the gaps where Amazing Spider-Man still the engine, but you can add some nitrous, if you will, to the engine, if we're going to use Fast and Furious references for reasons. And so again, having a satellite title, this would have worked as a satellite or an anthology book like Web of Spider.
Yes, my grade would have gone up from a D if this was a satellite book. This is not a Spider-Man. This is the flagship.
Yeah, being a flagship book, it hurts. And of course, with all the stuff surrounding it, again, this was not Spencer's intention. This was beyond anybody else's control.
This was probably written like 4 months ago.
Yeah, so
I would still be ticked if there was one coming out next week.
I mean, here's the point. The thing, though, getting beyond all the funny stuff and the fact that it's really not appropriate. It's an emotionally manipulative story. You know where it's going from page one. I mean, it's like, didn't we do this with the Gibbon? I mean, it's like, didn't we do this with the Rhino's girlfriend? It's like, like from page one or page two, that you're being set up for an and to me, that's one of the real problems of the story too. It's deliberately emotionally manipulative. Its only purpose is to make you feel sorry for this character, and then it goes to that well too often.
So if we had more Gog and Spider-Man and led up to this, it'd be better for you,
right?
Or if it had been a 5-page backup story.
Okay.
But,
okay.
If it had been 11 pages, I think it would have been fine. But
the
other point that I feel like is that we've got so much other stuff going on in Spider-Man right now. Why, have Gog show up again, and that leads to he comes out. It's like, oh, but wait, here's more, and then we're getting a lot more.
This is another obstacle between us and Kindred.
and I feel like that it just it's like a check mark that he wanted to check off. And look, JR, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
The Paul Jenkins run, the beginning of the Paul Jenkins run, and how many times he went to the Uncle Ben and Peter well. Did that upset you, or is it because it was Ben and Peter and their relationship? Did that make a difference?
It was overdone. I mean, he told that it was like, and I'm trying to remember. It's kind of funny though too. I mean, it's I'm trying to be consistent with, because those issues are right now 20 years old or something like that.
Sorry, JR, I got to make you use your memory banks.
But I think he went to that well once too often. Paul Jenkins had a tendency to tell these, occasionally he would tell like a one part really on the nose story, but then he would do 2 or 3 one part deliberately manipulative stories. So yeah, he did that too often as well.
Real quick, Heroing has a good question. I agree with you guys on the issue, but I do think it's sort of like the Kid Who Collects Spider-Man issue, but it's also good to remember after this arc, I think we're finally going into Kindred. The problem is the Kid Who Collects Spider-Man is about Spider-Man. This is about the Kid Who Collected Gog. It's literally the Kid Who Collected Gog, is it not?
It's like Spencer was
were
looking for
friends.
a Gog action figure, and that's why he included it. So we're going to get that as a build-a-figure down later in class.
Adam
The Kid Who
says
Collected Spider-Man was probably, I'm trying to think if it wasn't the first of its kind, it was one of the first of its kind.
Right.
That's been overdone since.
Adam says even the Kid Who Collects Spidey was kind of a backup to the Thunderball story in ASM. Yes.
He's putting the poster up of Thunderball versus Spidey on his wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't the focus.
Right.
I will say that, Disneyland is going to have that build your own spider bot. I would much prefer a build your own Gog.
Build your own goblin. Build your own.
Build your own
Fine.
goblin.
Look, I don't care. I just don't like Otto Octavius, and I don't like spider bots.
Again, I think if this had been Grizzly, if this had been Spot, if this had been a Spider-Man villain, obscure Spider-Man villain that is actually related to Spider-Man, Spider-Man's world, like Gibbon was, it'd have made a much different impact. That's why it only got a C- for me. We had a big variety of grades.
I now equate Gog to Mojo and X-Men. If I see Gog again, I'm gonna
All right.
Gog.
Okay.
I think that's a wrap. Facebook and YouTubers. We're gonna take a break. Michael Reed, why no likey Kelly?
It's a long story.
I've never liked him. Also, I just felt like I felt creeped out that he liked Aunt May. He was no good for her, and how dare.
Adam says Norman and Gog mashup equals the Green Goblin. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty
You win. We're going to end on that one.
All right, so Brad,
Oops, I went to my mouth, didn't I? So,
what,
Brad,
Zach?
You want me to recap the grades quick?
Recap grades like we do on Style.
All right, so for the first issue we covered tonight, we had an A-, a B, a C, an A-, a B, and an A. And then the second issue we covered was a D-, A, C+, B-, B, and a big old fat D.
That was mine. Yes, so, that was my D.
Yep. That was your. Oh, God.
Is this where we're going?
I'll edit that out. Okay.
How many on this question, how many below C grades has Brad given the Spencer run?
Not many. Not many.
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Not many.
My next project, I'm almost done with Friday Night Fights. On the spreadsheet is going to be going through and getting the grades.
Oh, wow.
Please pray for me.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We will come back. You do not want to miss Spider News. I have found some obscure stuff.
Boy.
That you guys are going to find hysterical.
You gave me
so much fake news.
I said you gave me a story that I have so much snark for that there will be lovely snarky Kelly in the next one.
All right. After hours crawl space coming up. Spider crawl space goes blue. No.
Oh no.
We're not gogging there. Okay. I will be back in 10 minutes, everybody.
Right.
We'll see you then,
Good night,
everybody here on
Bye.
Facebook and